Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. B&B spoilers. Thomas Forrester races home after learning Hope kissed Finn. The bold and the beautiful spoilers hint Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, might not be the only Forrester returning to Los Angeles for a family reunion. Thomas Forrester is currently in Paris with Paris Buckingham, Diamond White. But B&B spoilers hint he may be on his way home after learning what Hope Logan, Annika Noel, has been up to. Here's what's coming up next on The Bold and the Beautiful. Keep reading for all the details. The Bold and the Spoilers. Thomas Forrester coming home. Thomas Forrester literally begged Hope to marry him, and she shut him down over and over. He finally took his sister's advice and left town and started over without Hope Logan. Even after getting engaged to Paris, Thomas still returned and asked Hope to marry him one more time before he tied the knot. She still said no. Now Thomas is trying to plan his wedding and do right by Paris Buckingham in Europe, but according to Bold and Beautiful spoilers, the Forrester hair will begin to spiral when he learns about all the drama back home. If Hope didn't want to be with Thomas, why did she want to be with someone who is married to another woman? According to B&B spoilers, Thomas Forrester could be on his way back to Los Angeles as we speak. After toying with his feelings and refusing to marry him, Hope threw herself at a married man. B&B spoilers, Hope Logan just burst Thomas Forrester bubble. Thomas seemed to be okay with Hope not wanting to be in a relationship on The Bold and the Beautiful, which is why he went and found someone who did. Now that he knows another man has caught Hope Logan's eye, it changes everything. Do you think that Thomas has an axe to grind with Dr. John Finnegan? Will he come home to fight for the woman who doesn't want him? As the golden Californian sun dipped beneath the horizon, casting long shadows over the Forrester estate, the tension within its walls could have been sliced with a knife. A storm was brewing, a storm that had Thomas Forrester at its very center. His usually composed demeanor was shattered the moment he received the call that sent him racing back to Los Angeles. It wasn't just any call, it was from an unlikely source, Paris Buckingham. The words she uttered still echoed in Thomas's mind, a tormenting refrain that refused to let him rest. Hope kissed Finn. Those three words ignited a firestorm within Thomas, a tempest of anger, disbelief, and heartbreak. It felt like the universe had conspired against him once again, snatching away the one thing he had fought so hard to reclaim, Hope's trust. As he sped down the highway, the city lights blurring past him, Thomas's mind was a whirlwind of memories and emotions. He had come so far, worked so tirelessly to reform himself, to be the man Hope needed him to be, even if she couldn't love him in the way he loved her. He had accepted his role as a co-parent, a friend, someone she could rely on. But now this betrayal, or was it? Thomas's thoughts spiraled, questioning everything. How could Hope, the woman who had always prided herself on her moral compass, the very woman whom had chastised him for his past misdeeds, succumb to something so reckless? But it wasn't just about Hope. The fact that she had kissed Finn, Steffi's husband, added another layer of complexity to the situation. Thomas knew what it was like to lose Steffi's trust. He had battled his demons and nearly lost everything in the process. And now, his sister's marriage was in jeopardy because of Hope, the woman he had always placed on a pedestal. He gripped the steering wheel tighter, his knuckles turning white. The traffic lights flickered to red, forcing him to stop. As he waited, his mind continued to race. What was Hope thinking? Was this a momentary lapse in judgment, or was there something deeper at play? And Finn, how could he have let this happen? Thomas had always respected Finn, admired him even, for the way he had stood by Steffi through thick and thin, but this was an unforgivable breach of trust. The light turned green, and Thomas slammed his foot on the accelerator. He needed to get home, to confront Hope, to demand answers. But more than that, he needed to protect his sister. Steffi had been through enough heartache, and Thomas wasn't about to let anyone, not even Hope, cause her more pain. As he neared the Forrester mansion, Thomas's mind shifted to another possibility, one that gnawed at him like a persistent itch. What if this kiss wasn't just a mistake? What if it was the start of something more? Hope and Finn, two people who had always seemed so steadfast in their relationships. What if they were drawn to each other in a way that neither could control? The thought made his blood run cold. Finally, he arrived at the mansion, the grand structure looming before him like a fortress of secrets. He parked his car and took a deep breath, trying to steady the storm raging inside him. But there was no calming the fury, the hurt, the betrayal. He marched up the steps, his heart pounding in his chest, and pushed open the door. Inside, the house was eerily quiet, the silence only amplifying the intensity of his emotions. He made his way through the grand foyer, his footsteps echoing off the marble floors, and headed straight for the living room where he knew he would find Hope. And there she was, standing by the fireplace, her back to him. The flames cast a soft glow on her figure, highlighting the tension in her posture. She must have sensed his presence because she slowly turned to face him, her eyes wide with something that resembled guilt, or perhaps fear. "Thomas," she whispered, her voice barely audible, "I didn't expect you back so soon." He didn't respond immediately. Instead, he took in her appearance, the way her hands trembled slightly, the way she bit her lip as if trying to hold back tears. But there was no sympathy in his heart, not this time. He had been fooled too many times before. "Hope," he finally said, his voice cold and sharp, "I got a call that told me you kissed Finn. Tell me it's not true." She flinched at his words, and for a moment, Thomas hoped she would deny it, that this was all some terrible misunderstanding. But then she looked down, unable to meet his gaze, and he knew. The truth was far worse than he had imagined. "It was a mistake," she stammered, her voice trembling. "I don't know what happened, Thomas. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just..." "Just what?" Thomas interrupted, his voice rising with anger. "You just happened to kiss Steffi's husband. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Hope's eyes filled with tears, and she shook her head, her guilt evident. "I know it was wrong, Thomas. I'm so sorry, but it didn't mean anything. It was a moment of weakness, that's all." "A moment of weakness?" Thomas echoed, his anger boiling over. "You've destroyed families over a moment of weakness? What about Liam? What about Steffi? What about Finn? You've shattered everything." Hope's tears fell freely now, but Thomas couldn't bring himself to care. The woman he had loved, the woman he had fought for, had betrayed not just him, but everyone around her. How could he ever trust her again? But amidst the fury and heartbreak, another thought took root in Thomas's mind, one that terrified him even more than the kiss itself. What if this wasn't the end? What if this kiss was the beginning of something far more destructive, something that could tear apart everything he had worked so hard to rebuild? Thomas took a step back, the weight of the situation crashing down on him. He needed to think, to figure out his next move. But one thing was clear, nothing would ever be the same again. As he turned to leave, Hope called out to him, her voice desperate, pleading. "Thomas, please, don't tell Steffi. Let me fix this." He paused at the door, his back to her. The decision weighed heavily on him. He could keep this secret, protect his sister from the pain that was sure to follow. But at what cost? Without a word, he walked out, the door closing behind him with a finality that echoed through the empty halls of the mansion. As he stepped into the cool night air, Thomas knew that the storm had only just begun, and when it finally broke, it would leave nothing but devastation in its wake.